I too will support this legislation, although I have concerns very similar to those expressed by those who spoke before me. First, I do agree that it is a good idea to reduce the statutorily required numbers of signatures needed for a candidate to get on the ballot. However, the 70% reduction plays out very differently outside of New York City than it does in New York City. This bill reduces the number of signatures needed for someone running on an assembly district to 150. An assembly district in general has about 135,000 people. Yet it also reduces county legislature to 150. The county legislators in Westchester County represent approximately 55,000 people. So therefore, the county legislative candidate running this year in a much smaller area will have to get the same number of signatures as if they were running in an assembly district. Secondly, this legislation has a rather strange impact on towns and villages. My assembly district has 49,000 Democrats, so it would need 150 signatures. My assembly district is composed of two towns. One town has 37,000 Democrats. If you multiply the formula of 1.5%, this town would require 550 signatures. If you say that the maximum is the next subdivision, for whatever reason in Westchester County, the County Board of Elections has always applied the Senate number. So therefore, this town with 37,000 Democrats would need to get 300 signatures. If you applied the 150 maximum from the assembly, then they would need to get 150,000, even though the district is about 150 signatures, even though it's 2/3 of the assembly district. Now, that's the assembly district requiring 150. But the other town in my district has 11,000 Democrats. If you were to multiply out the formula of 1.5, you would need 180. If you use the cap of the Senate, it would be 300. If we can convince the Board of Elections that the proper cap is the assembly district, then it would be 150. But when you add the two together, that's still either 300 or 600 signatures, where this legislation says in an assembly district you only need 150. So this legislation, while it does help in certain circumstances, creates chaos in other parts of the state. I guess the point I'm coming to is I agree with the previous speaker that while it's okay to reduce the number of signatures, we need to add some alternative ways of achieving ballot status, ballot access this year. And I have a whole series of them I would ask that we consider in a future piece of legislation. I have been asked by some party leaders in Westchester County to allow the party for 1 year to anoint candidates, just like the Democratic State Committee does. Any candidate that gets more than 25% of the vote should automatically be put on the ballot. Secondly, we could find another way of showing interest. There could be a monetary threshold. If you get $10 from 50 people in your district, maybe that's enough of a showing to be on the ballot. I have one candidate who regularly collects 3,000 to 4,000 signatures himself. He's the town supervisor. He called and said, please, I do not want to ask people for signatures. Let everybody on the ballot. Or maybe let somebody put up a $250 refundable deposit. If they get 10% of the vote, they get their money back. And he's going to have a primary by someone who's going to have difficulty achieving ballot status if she had to get the signatures. But his view is we should not be reaching out to people at this time. I received letters. I have an active community. Emails from people saying, I'm elderly. I'm a county committee person. I do not want to go out. I don't go out for any other reason. I really don't want to go out to get signatures. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I would suggest that we could use a remote petitioning process, similar to what we have done with notary publics. We could allow people to sign a petition being witnessed either on Zoom or FaceTime or some other mechanism, have them put the petition in their mailbox, have someone pick up the petition, and then sign on as a witness, having watched the person sign remotely. So what I'm suggesting, Mr. Speaker, is that while I think this bill is a good bill, it does help in certain circumstances, we as an assembly should be going further, not asking people to go out and ask others for signatures, but rather we should be finding other ways to get on the ballot in this pandemic year.